This is Scott back at Project Garden number 1, and it is the early July. It's July 9th, and it is hot. It's 100, 102 degrees. The garden is struggling. Again, I don't have enough mulch at this garden to keep everything, real moist and watered, so we've been having to water a lot. So my goal for next year is to bring in a lot of mulch and have it ready to go so we have a lot easier time because of our drought conditions. I want to be able to continue to garden how I want to garden, and with the drought, the only way that's going to happen is if I mulch heavily, and that way I conserve water, don't have to water as often, and when other people are struggling and losing their crops or their ability to garden, I'm going to be okay because I'm going to work on that and get it so that I always have the ground covered and that there's enough moisture. Now today, I just got back from a couple of vacations. I've been gone probably 10 days in the last 3 weeks. And the garden's getting a little weedy, it's getting a little away from me, but it's also harvest time for several crops. And so I'm going to do 3 different videos, so all these videos aren't too long. Today's video is going to be all about just an update on the garden, and I'm going to show you the progress and what it looks like now, good, bad, and indifferent. And then I'm going to do a separate video I'm going to film today on harvesting the onions. They're ready to come out. And then I'm going to do a test dig on the potatoes and see what we're doing with those and see how those are coming along. So I've not dug up any potatoes yet, so I'm just going to dig up one and on the end of the row where it's getting a lot of sun and see how successful we've been with our potato harvest. Again, this garden had been fallow for numerous years. It's been covered in plastic. It really lacked organic matter. It didn't have much soil life when I started digging into it. So that's what was my goal this year, was to add all this compost and manures and get the soil mixed up so that we can get a good start on it for this year, and then we'll just try to improve the soil each and every year so that we have better and better gardens as we go. But I really want to emphasize the idea of covering the soil and using mulch. So after I pull these onions out, I'm going to go to my manure supplier and grab some horse manure. I'm going to come and I'm going to cover the beds. That'll suppress weeds as well as let the worms come up in the soil. I'll leave that manure on all fall, all winter, and then in the spring we'll see how much of it's left, and we'll either turn it into the dirt, I'll rake it up and put it aside and use it later, or add it to my compost. So we'll see kind of how that goes. But I always, again, once plants are up, I always want the soil covered. Unfortunately, with this garden, I do not have the raw materials right now to do that. So it is suffering in the heat, but it's a pretty good garden. We've had our wins, we've had definitely our losses, but overall things, we're going to get a pretty good harvest out of this garden this year. Probably about what we expected it to be. So anyway, again, you'll be seeing me wearing the same clothes for the next few videos, but I'll film today, and I'm just going to break them apart every few days, release them, so that it's not too long of a video. So hope you guys enjoy these types of videos, and subscribe if you can, and if you like the content, and let's go get started. Okay, we're going to start today's tour of the July Project Garden. There's the potatoes, as you see, some beans. There's a good healthy row of green beans, bush beans, carrots. The brassicas are really struggling under the heat. They're not doing well, but I'll feed them to my chickens. I'll just pull the plants up and feed them to them. I took some home today, and they love that stuff. They're one of their favorite foods. Here's the onions we're going to harvest in the next video. There's some zucchini, cucumbers, and here's the corn. And like all cornfields, the edges don't grow as good as the middle, it seems, but must be a water issue. But overall, the garden is growing and it's starting to produce food, and that's what this is all about: is to grow food for my buddy's family as well as my own, and just have fun gardening. Now here's a zucchini. Looking in here, there's lots of blossoms. There's one zucchini coming on, small one. And here is the cucumbers. There's 2 varieties we're going to show here, and they've got lots of flowers. They haven't done much though. The heat's been really beating them up. And the other cucumber. It'll be a while before we have a cucumber to eat, but it'll be a couple weeks probably. But plenty of flowers. It'll be productive. Here's the leeks. These are the ones look like little grass coming up. When I first planted them, they're starting to finally get a little size to them, but they've got a long ways to go. And as I've been on vacation, you see a lot of weeds, so don't mind the weeds. I haven't been around for much for the last couple weeks. Here's a nice big healthy zucchini plant. And there is a big zucchini in here. I don't think I got it filmed. I think I might use this as my thumbnail today just because I didn't quite get a good picture of it here. You can see it kind of in the back there. And as I spin around, the tomatoes are doing pretty good. We've lost a couple. The one to the left there was diseased, so I pulled it out. There's another one that seems to be diseased that I'm going to get rid of as we go down the row. But there's some good tomatoes growing in here. I haven't done much pruning, or any pruning, I should say. But I'm just going to let them go, and they'll produce plenty of tomatoes this year, it looks like. And we get in here, there's some peppers underneath the tomatoes, and they're looking a little wilted, so I don't know what's going on. Here's the other tomato that doesn't look very healthy, so I don't know if I'll just yank this one out or not. We'll just kind of give it some time, see if it does anything. That pepper there looks sick. But the other tomatoes are looking pretty green. I'm just kind of letting them go. And as you look in here, there's some good sized tomatoes. There's a big boy right in the back. Yeah, hopefully I can get a visual of that without breaking it off. There we go. But there's no blossom end rot. They look really healthy. So we're going to have some nice tomatoes. There's a couple more. As we scan down the aisle, we're getting into the strawberries. And there's lots of these weed trees in there. And I've got to get in there and weed that out. But it's awfully hot today, so I'm just going to accomplish what I need to and get out of here. But just scanning around, and everything is looking pretty healthy overall. And we'll get lots of onions. Here's the onions. We're looking a little closer. Again, I'm going to do a whole video on these. I filmed it today, but I'll release it in a couple days. And we did get a lot of onions. It was a very good harvest. There's some good sized ones in here, but there's a lot of small ones too. So still need to continue to build the soil. That way we can hopefully get bigger and better onions next year. As we see some of the red onions there, and then we're going to scan over to the brassicas and the cauliflower. Yeah, you can see a little bit of cauliflower, but it's all sun scorched. I don't think it would probably taste too good, but I'll probably pick it and give it a try. But it's the sun has really beat the crap out of these plants. So we planted them a little too late. The garden didn't get started early enough. These should be out of the ground by now, but they're just hanging in there. Again, nothing goes to waste. I'll either compost the material or I'll take it home to my chickens and feed them. They love brassicas. Here, look at this Swiss chard. This is a ugly looking plant, but it's got lots of leaves on it. Today, I'm going to pull a bunch of this off and take it home and feed the chickens. So there's some huge leaves in here. But the heat is taking its toll. It hasn't bolted yet, but the kale next door is bolted. So usually kale's pretty good about that, but today it's not done well this year. So the kale grew big, but then it just went to seed. Here's a carrot bed. Oh, here's eggplants. There's a couple eggplants here. They're forming, so they'll be ready to eat here. Not too much longer. There's 3 or 4 of them there. Just planted a couple eggplants this year. And we've got peppers that are down the side of the carrots here. Not doing a whole heck of a lot. You'll see one kind of sun-scorched green pepper, but it'd still be tasty. Lots of weeds. Like I say, I haven't been here to weed for much in the last couple of weeks. Been on vacation. Lots of carrots. So the carrots aren't forming really big yet, but there's a bunch of them in here. So we should hopefully. I didn't thin them, so they'll be smaller, but they'll be tasty. Now the green beans are doing awesome. These are bush beans, and they're flowering, and we've got a good half row of those, and they're looking really good. As I zoom in here, hopefully you can see, I think I take a shot of one of the beans. There's flowers, and then let's see if we can see a bean in here. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. There it is. There's one, and they're about all that size. They haven't got much bigger, but once they get started, you got to keep picking them because they'll quit producing. So next week, I think we're going to start getting some beans, and we just got to keep picking and keep eating on those. And as I go down the row, here's some beets. There's a few beets in here that could be eaten, but they're still not very big. I didn't thin them very well, so there's some edible ones in there, but they're just still small. And they've been eaten by the quail, looks like, and sun-baked, and they've taken a beating this year. But they'll hopefully produce a few beets so we can have a good harvest, have some good meals with them. Now as I dig in here, I'm looking for some, what am I looking for? Turnips, I think. Oh, there's a snail. Get that snail out of here. I don't know if you can see the turnips in here. You can see a little bit, but there's some good sized turnips that need to be picked. So I'll have the homeowner take those. I took some home last week when I stopped by, and he'll have him eat these. But there's a good row of turnips in here. Starting to get a little sideways on my camera. I don't understand why that is, but we'll go with it. And these are the potatoes. And we've got a nice row of potatoes going down. And we'll do a test dig today and have a video in a couple videos from now. I'll dig one up and I'll show you how they're doing. The variety I dug up on the end was a russet variety, and they're not quite ready, but they're new potatoes, so they're still tasty. You can eat them at any stage once they get growing. But we'll take another scan back across the garden here in a minute, I believe, and take a look at everything again, just an overview. I'm gonna get dizzy on myself. I got everything sideways now for some reason. I don't know what I did, but that's okay. We'll go with it this video. So we've got, again, the brassicas, the onions, and the corn, which is still not tasseled out, so it needs to grow a lot more, hopefully. It doesn't stop at, 3 feet tall, but we'll see. And last but not least is the apple tree that the homeowner thought I killed. Well, as you see, it's not killed. It is doing well. It just needs to be pruned out, but I'm not going to touch it again until the full growing season is. It needs to get some strength back. And then I'll start pruning it the 4-inch, 2-inch method. Now that's the end of the video. If you like this kind of video and would like to continue to follow me in my journey in living my best rural life in the city, please subscribe to my channel, like, share, and comment, because I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.